As humans, our very distinct points of view are often uniquely shaped by nature and nurture. And this is no less so regarding our understanding of the very loaded phrase, gender equality. So, on today's episode of the X and Y Convos, we explore men's point of view on gender equality issues and challenges. Today, I am joined by two great men, Oluseyi Olufemi, an economist, writer, speaker, and I must add, philosopher, and Dennis Amata, a data analyst and social researcher whose passion is politics, law, and international development. What about our nature and nurture influences how we observe an unequal world? Let's get some answers.
So today, I'm not having a conversation with a woman. I'm not because it's just important to get the perspective of, I don't want to say the other party because we're all humans, yeah. But I'm talking today to Shay and Dennis, and thank you for, I know you're busy and there's a lot of things to do, and I know that you've been trying very hard not to look at your computers, so I appreciate I appreciate you taking the time. And the point of this conversation for me is this: what does these issues of gender equality, of advocacy for gender equality, feminism, to use the very dreaded unliked word, from your point of view, let me start with Dennis. From your point of view, what does it look like in our society? Do you agree that, oh, there's an imbalance that needs to be corrected? And what does that imbalance look like from your point of view?
Yeah, of course, I would say there's imbalance. But first, let me just talk about the fact that I got exposed to issue of feminism from, I think, about 2017 or thereabout. And the ideology was let everybody, man and woman, have
Right.
equality, basic equity, as some people later defined it,
Yeah.
right? But talking about Nigeria, there's imbalance. The imbalance I've seen most times broadly will be from issues of socioeconomic issues, offices. We are looking at political settings and all of that. You see where you have, out of say 370 positions, you see
Mm.
men occupying 300, if not more than. And you
Did you say
see,
300?
if
It,
not, let's say,
it's way, way more than that.
yeah.
There's like
So
10 women collectively. I know
yeah,
it's not 10, but
yeah, so we have it's just too glaring to see,
yeah.
right? So we have that imbalance. Even when it comes to even our personal lives, you still see that imbalance where because a woman earns less or a man earns more. There's that what is it power or something? It's just obvious, right?
Right.
The lifestyle, the way you treat the person, and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So you see that gap between the male and woman in
Yeah.
society, which is not meant to be, ideally looking at the context of feminism. I mean, even
Right.
that's why we have the discussion around feminism and why we need to strike a balance,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Okay, Shay, is it the same for you in terms of your point of view when you look at equality or inequality in our society, in our context, African context, Nigerian, but also globally across the world?
Yeah, thank you, Adenike. Inequality anywhere
Yeah.
in any realm, it's inhuman. And using the other word, feminism, and with gender inequality. So whether it's gender inequality, racial inequality, these things are morally wrong,
Right.
and any full human being should feel a sense of I don't want to call it anger, but
Mm.
it kind of should not embrace these things. You get it should be abhorrent to anyone
Right.
that some people that are full human beings. I mean, there's no such thing as full human beings.
Yeah.
Human beings, all of us are fully human beings.
Right.
Whether it's so any form of inequality, gender inequality, racial inequality, the inequality that the society visits on people who are uh, persons with disabilities,
Disability. Yeah.
all these are inhuman.
Right.
And that is why I will look at it from the lens of humanism.
Right.
I'll look at feminism. I'll look at maybe if it's the
Nice.
Black Lives Matter. I will look at it from the lens of humanism.
Right.
So from that lens, I'm able to see that if a fellow man
Mm.
is disadvantaged in any way, I should look out for that person.
Right.
If a woman, a girl, anyone is disadvantaged in any way, economically, like Dennis has said, socially,
Right.
and the mosque and the church, I should look out and speak and say, no, this is wrong.
Right.
Not only because they are a woman, she's a woman,
Yes.
but because she's human and she's the same as I am. So I believe this is the lens from which
You
I
view.
look I view this.
Thank you for your responses. And I'm about to muddy the waters a little bit and ask you, do you consider men to be privileged in our society? So Dennis, you can go first. I know. I just threw a stink bomb. Do you think that men enjoy a privilege that women don't have?
Wow. Okay, so I think we'll just be honest. Yes, I think men enjoy some sort of privilege that women, of course, do not enjoy. And again, we can start from the micro and move to the macro, right?
Right.
So I'll give you an instance. If I decide to go out, or a man decides to go out by 1 a.m., he feels safe, right? That's a privilege many women will not be able to enjoy. When we
Right.
talk about the mind from personal level, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with organizations,
Right.
right? There are some things that men would do in an office
Right.
that woman does not have such luxury, right, to do,
Right.
right? The same thing even in our political climate, right? You see, there tend to be, what's the word now, that they put women as a higher pedestal. Whereas for
Yeah.
the men, because you're a man,
Yeah.
it goes, right? They say, I'll give you an example. The last election we did, where this woman from Adamawa State,
Binani.
Binani, was in the ballot, on the ballot paper, and other people from the ballot. We're looking at what she has done in the past. But for the man who was on the ballot, it was just whether you have the highest vote or not, right?
Right.
It was not the case for her.
Yeah.
So we are judging her with
There's a lot more
stricter measures,
scrutiny.
yeah, than the man,
Right.
right? The same thing when you talk about the process to get into offices,
Right.
right? You see women, when they declare interest to run, there's always the question of what has she done, right? Where is she from? Where did she school and all of that. For the man, the question of what party is he,
What party? Who
right?
do you know?
Does he have supporters?
Yeah.
So we have different measures to measure men and women who are even running for the same positions,
Right.
right? So I've given you from personal level
Yeah,
to
to the
general
macro,
society,
yes.
right? So there are privileges men enjoy,
Yeah.
right? And there are a lot of them. We
We
cannot
can-
exhaust them.
Okay, Shay,
Right.
do you agree that men benefit from a privilege?
From an unfair privilege.
Unfair. Yeah, I mean.
So privilege would look like neutral. I enjoy the privilege of attending the school.
Right.
So, but this is not a privilege we should talk about like that way. This is
Right.
an unfair privilege.
Right.
You don't. So men enjoy a very unfair privilege. It's not an immoral privilege.
Right.
So I would rather put it that way. To say privilege is just like, oh, you were just privileged.
Yeah.
Somebody's less privileged. It's not a natural. It's a systemic and cultural,
Right.
vested unfair privilege that men enjoy. 101%. I
Right.
believe that. I see it every day.
Okay. So again, I'm throwing stink bombs at you guys.
Yeah,
Don't
go
worry.
ahead.
And one of the challenges with the gender equality movement, with the feminist movement, is that there's a lot of pushback. Like, you guys are doing too much, or we don't even understand what you guys want, or how exactly do you want us to ask?
Come.
It feels as if the demand for equality has become equated with this minefield. This, now we don't know where to step. Now we don't, at least for those who are conscious, those who are not even conscious are not even bothering to ask the
They don't even
questions.
care.
What is, and I'm asked, and if you think that this is not confusing, it's clear, it's okay, you can, but what is confusing about the demand for gender equality? Let me start with Shay this time.
Yeah, you're right there, and I think I'm just beginning to understand because for me, generally, I like to be correct for things. I like to, so I'm always wondering when, as much as I think I'm correct about my views about how women should have the same rights and should have the same things that privilege that men have. When somebody tells me, no, that's not the way, and I'm perplexed. So, but what I feel is that what confuses some people, like me, for
Right.
instance.
Thank you for making it personal.
Yeah, like me. so I don't want to generalize.
Yeah.
For me, is that sometimes we are not talking about what feminism and gender equality mean
Right.
to what I would think you are meaning is not what I thought, what I was thinking.
Right.
And sometimes um, we direct the rage, we direct the anger. Sometimes I feel that we direct it towards the wrong person, like generalizing.
Okay.
So sometimes, maybe let me give you an example. From my childhood, I've always heard about gender equality, and it's always sounded normal. It's always sounded, yeah, that's the thing. We should
Right.
give everybody the same right.
Right.
The girl child, the male child, So I believe that. I will say that till tomorrow. I will talk about that. But we see that we're now moving into some areas where we are confused. Oh, should you hire someone because it's a woman or not deprive someone? I would say capital. Employ people because of
They're
who
capable.
they are.
Yeah.
I remember our senior prefect, I mean, the lady girl, she was brilliant more than me. So I believe that women can be better
Yeah.
than she had better scorers,
Yeah.
So I've known women who are better, and so who will I employ between a dull guy, sorry to say that, and a brilliant woman? Of course, I
Yeah.
always employ someone
Yeah.
who can do it.
You want
So
result.
we
That's
want results. So yeah, but not because I'm not doing it because somebody is. It's just that this person can do it
Better.
So we've always been saying that, but it appears that when we are talking like that about feminism, when our own feminism is that is humanism, when our own feminism is saying the humanism with respect to a woman now.
Equal playing
So
field.
and sometimes I hear something else. Or I'm hearing something that is kind of complicated. So it now looks like I'm confused. But what I'm learning lately is that when those women are saying those things, no, you don't open the door for me. You are making it look like I'm not strong enough.
Yeah.
So and I get confused. You get
What
it.
exactly
So,
do you
so
want?
what I don't understand again. So I now discover that sometimes the people trying appearing over the top, the women in feminism,
Loudest voices.
I think they are speaking against something that is not the general. They are speaking about not to me.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and I understand now that they are not talking to you. I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
they're talking to some institutions. They're talking to some people in power who are,
position to
entrenching this injustice against women.
Right.
So that anger is not to the few innocent ones who are trying to be more human and be more fairer to the
Right.
what I don't call the opposite sex. I call it the complementary,
Sex.
the completing sex. So that's what I feel,
Okay.
and I think that's what was confusing me before. But now I think I'm just trying to understand it from that lens. That when a woman, so to say, misunderstands me or misbehaves towards me and is using the gender, what you call the gender card, I would try to believe that she's responding to something that has happened to her in the past or
Yeah.
what she's seen
Right.
in what she's seen in the office,
society,
in the
yeah.
society, and not maybe the issue we are trying
Specific.
to express.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. Okay, Dennis. Same question to you.
Yeah.
What makes it so hard to understand? Because it does appear so to
Yeah.
understand gender equality
Yeah.
and to get in on it.
For me, I think I would take from the point of my actions. Are they me trying to support the movement, or my actions are against the movement, right? Because sometimes you do this, it seems like there are different ideology of this movement, right? So when you do this, it's accepted by to this group
Some
of people, but to these other people, it seems like no, they are against us, right? So there's always that confusion that is it one movement or is different movement, right? So there's that one confusion. I think confusion is it one movement with different ideologies,
Right.
different theories to it, or is just one theory to it, different
Right.
approach to it,
Right.
right? And am I collaborating with you, or I'm supposed to be spearheading another
Right.
aspect of this conversation, right? So there's always that confusion with it, and
Like,
I mean,
where's the entry point?
yeah, where do I come in?
that
Where
I
do
don't
come
get
in?
my head
And
beaten off.
navigate.
Okay, and I get that, and several times on the X and Y Convos we've had this why does it appear to be so many things? But I think that some of the biggest debates are really around the issues of choice and much less the more concrete issues of societal norms, of changing narratives. For instance, I may like the door open for me, you may not. Yeah, that's like but that's not the core of the fight. So, I mean, on Twitter
Is it a fight
sometimes.
or a movement?
So we're at the point, and I appreciate that feedback, but we are at the point where it has literally become a fight for survival, a fight for representation, a fight for the voices to be heard. Because how do you explain a national assembly that has that kind of representation in a country where it's literally 50% male and 50% female? And since the Fourth Republic, since 1999, the numbers have gone like this. So it has become a fight. It's a movement that is fighting for something. However, the plan, I don't imagine the plan is to bite people's heads off. And so my point is, when it comes to things within the realm of choice, do I pay when I go out with a guy for dinner? Does he pay? We don't make a law about that. We don't. That's not the core of the fight. The core of the fight is, if there's date rape, there's a law. I can approach the normal institutions of justice for justice. The police are not going to say, like we've had many cases of the police saying, "You're not even happy a guy is looking at you." Documented. So those are the core issues that we need. So I do get that. So as we begin to wrap this up, what kind of clarity would you like to see from the movement for gender equality that allows you to almost like, oh yeah, oh, this is how I can support, or this is how I can help, or this is how I can be very frontal about my own beliefs? What kind of clarity in messaging, in communication, in actions do you think is helpful?
Um, I would say it's so simple,
Mm,
and I would say equality has to be emphasized,
right.
and people have to be taught, if they
Hmm.
need to be taught,
Mm.
that, and to be maybe they need to be taught or they need to be
Reminded.
reminded
Yeah.
that we are equal. Everyone is equal,
Mm.
whether we look the same way
Mm.
in terms of gender or not. And I'll give this example. I was not in the place to intervene in that, but I knew I'd reserve my intervention for another day.
Right.
It was Father's Day, so we were in a place, and I think it was in the place of worship,
Right.
and then there was a kind of sort of this symposium now, or
Yeah.
so to say, and there were women, and the gentleman was asking them questions.
Questions.
So he put the first question to a woman, a married woman. Said, "What happened? What will you do if your husband um, impregnates someone out of wedlock,
Mm.
and it's confirmed that the lady is actually pregnant? It's not
Yeah.
just that he is having an affair.
Right.
What will you do?"
I'm sorry. How is that a conversation for Father's Day? I'm sorry, but please
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. So I was really, really, really
Eager to hear.
upset uh, about the question, especially with the answer that the woman gave.
Mm.
And I'm going to intervene. I didn't have
Yeah.
the floor to intervene, and I'm going to,
Right.
because the woman just said, I'm not going to feel bad. I'm going to, in fact, I mean, I'm going to, said, at home, I will deal with him, but outside, I will
Paper
protect,
it.
I will paper it and all of that.
Is that
So,
supposed to be?
so no, 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 it's fine. That's choice.
Yeah,
That's
that's
choice.
choice.
That's choice. Fine. That's choice. And but we're going to get the child in. Okay, the other child going to
The
get
other
him
child,
in,
yeah.
but he's not going to marry the woman. But I'm going to really deal with him at home. But I will outside.
Present like everything is okay.
And the guy said, "Yeah, let's clap for."
Phew.
And
Okay.
I was
Furious.
in my, but I just had to be measured.
Mm.
But I would just have asked the question. I'm talking about equality.
Right.
That's the center. I
Yes.
think that is the center
Right.
of all this that revolves around. That it's about. So it's a simple thing. Just call another gentleman there
And ask the same
and ask him the same question.
Yeah.
If your wife tells you
Yeah.
she's gotten pregnant
By another man.
by another man, now that you clapped for that woman that said we will get the child in,
Right.
and your wife has gotten pregnant for another man,
Mm-hmm.
and what will you say? Will you clap also?
If
Will you also take the child the woman is
In.
carrying in?
Right.
And why are you laughing, Dennis? You are looking. It looks absurd this time around. It looks absurd this time around.
Exactly,
I'm
which is
just
the issue.
assuming what the man would say.
Are you getting my
He
point?
probably say heads we roll.
So I honestly, if in that place
Yeah.
I had a man say, yes, that's what to do. If it happens to me too, it will be difficult, but I don't have a choice.
Right.
That child also has to be my child.
Mm.
Because my wife made a mistake.
Mhm.
I will cover her
Right.
outside. We will deal with it, but the child eventually is my child. And, I would raise
Yeah.
him. I would do that. So that's what I call equality. You get what I'm saying?
I get you.
That's what I call equality. And if we stay with that, and talking about polygamy too,
Yeah.
oh, see, no problem. If you want to, the men are polygamous in nature, isn't it? We will give an excuse like that. We give an excuse like that, and I think it's possible that we have drives high. It's possible. I've read that here and there, but also I want to consider it too that if some people say religion here and there allows, so I'll just say fine. It also has to
Flip
allow a woman also to have
3, 4.
3, 4 men who have consented to be married to her. I don't have a problem with.
Yeah.
So I don't say this is good for man. This is not good for. I just say
Right.
whatever a man can do.
What is good for
If
you?
a woman also aspires to that, she must be able to do.
Right.
If she doesn't want to do it, okay.
It's fine.
But you must never set a law or set a moral
Compass.
bar
Bar.
for a man differently
Different
from a
from-
woman.
Mm.
When we agree about that equality
Right.
for a man and a woman, for a white and a black, for someone who is disabled and someone who is not disabled,
Right.
for all of us,
Yeah.
that's humanism, and
Right.
that we are able to show compassion
Right.
with every wherever we are in that spectrum of humanity.
Let
Equality.
equality be the north star.
Equality
all the time.
should
The
be
North
where
Star.
we are looking at.
Right.
So when there's a problem, let's just look at, okay, put it the other way.
Flip
Flip it, and then the answer will be able to
We'll
be
be able to
closer
find
to the
Right.
answer. We won't always be perfect,
But
but we can get it clearer.
Thank you so much for that, Dennis. So
So I think I agree with. No, I don't think I agree fully with Jay on this.
right.
But just to add to it, it will also be a way others. I mean, it was what the word now to say again education, right?
Right.
The basics. What is feminism?
Right.
Right. I mean, there are different people who give it different interpretation. These are based on their experiences.
Right.
But there's just like when you define terms, right? In
Right.
social science, when you define terms, this is it, right? This is the major is to define this. There should be that one. Is there a universal definition for it? Let us know
there
what
is,
it is,
yeah.
right? And let's stick with that definition,
Right.
right? If we have that, and everybody go with that definition without adding, it's not a law you interpret. You're not interpreting a law here. It's a universally accepted definition to it, right? Let's stick with that and begin to teach it in the way that everybody can understand it.
Right.
From, I mean, college, from secondary schools up to whatever level, right? If we have that knowledge, so we don't move from this was the knowledge I had 2017, and this is what I have in 2022. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that universal definition should be re-echoed at every point.
Right.
So we stick to that and work with that. Right.
So I mean the typically the challenge is oftentimes not with so much with the definition, but with all the things that are now being done and promoted as, oh, this is what feminism looks like, or this is what gender equality looks like. But I do agree with you that education is very, especially in a culture and context like ours, where everything is just kind of shaped like black is for this, white is for this, and there are no crossovers. Like a woman can have multiple husbands. There are no crossovers, and I think that layer of education, the North Star is equality.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I like that. Or just flip it. The North Star is equality. Just flip it. Thank you so much for having this conversation.
Thank you, Adenike.
You've brought so much light to this conversation.
Thank you very much.